All right, we're live.
We're live! Like 3, 2, 1, go! Hello, everyone in multiple social media platforms. It is Hollie O'Brien and it is Matt O'Brien. We are on a special. There we go. We got the comments going. We are on a special Q&A. This is my husband's favorite thing to do, is to really answer all the questions from all the critics and the skeptics and really deep dive into what is what, why are things working, why are they not working. So that's what we get to do today. So without further ado, I want to say hello to Mr. O'Brien. My name is Hollie O'Brien. My amazing husband. Oh, other way. There he is, Mr. Matt O'Brien, Coach Matt O'Brien. What are all these little words next to your name? Could we explain what those are really quick? These little letters.
Oh yeah. Well, I've been in the health space now since 1998 as a first and foremost as a personal trainer in New York City and pre-med in college at the Air Force Academy. That's my diploma on the back wall there. And just been passionate about all things health, being a fat kid myself growing up and a name that rhymes with fat. You can imagine the nicknames and just the health transformation I went through. Really just always being curious about science too just led me down this road to pay it forward and constantly learning. And I have a goal to be one of the top functional health coaches in the world, but I'll start with the country for now. And I've just been progressing through that, wrote my book, The Magic Pill, working on my next book, have basically the CSCS. BS is Bachelor of Science. CSCS is Certified Strength and Conditioning Specialist. That's the top training certification. And then PN1 is the top nutrition certification. And have a bunch of other stuff too, but not to impress, but to impress upon people that, it's all about the learning process. The more you learn, the more you realize you don't know. And I think we're going to talk a lot about that today with how much confusion there is out there and how to segregate marketing hype from scientific substance. So hopefully that's our give for today. And just a little teaser, we're going to talk about the gut biome. We're going to talk about the big picture, the big idea of functional health and microbiome, nootropics, just some cool stuff and how to upgrade your life in a very simple way with what Hollie's got, has a crazy journey, crazy goal, I should say, that we're trying to do to actually feed some hungry people with some good food.
Yay! Awesome. Thank you. I appreciate you saying that because a lot of times people see all these different like letters and like, what does it mean? So for all those curious Callies, can we say curious Callies? We want to know what that means. So thank you for explaining that. You can find Matt's book on Barnes & Noble and on Amazon, correct?
Yes.
Great.
Amazon. Awesome. The Magic Pill.
The Magic
Your
Pill.
prescription for health, happiness, and a longer life.
I love it. I love it. So I feel like we have kind of found the magic pill or the magic powder. So I'm going to take us back a little bit. So those that are tuning in are going, I don't know what they're talking about. Just so you know, I have made this crazy, massive goal to be able to help a ton of people get healthier in their own life in conjunction to help a lot of people have food on their table. So what does that mean? My goal is I have a product called Boost. Right here, we're going to be talking about this today. Product called Boost. Oh, no, there we go. Product called Boost, right? I've created a program around it called the 30-Day Boost Reset. And I wanted to help people like at the beginning of the year. It's like last year about killed you, right? Like year after the holidays, you're like, it's the new year. I'm supposed to feel so good and energized and, conquer the new year. And a lot of times we're like, what the fudge just happened? I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I have no energy. I'm wiped from the last 4 months. I want to start my new year off with a reset and I don't even know where to start, right? So that was really my first start of this is I really wanted to help people in a very simple way. And I found a product that is just blown my mind. And I'm like, Matt, please tell me this is good. And when I find a product that I love and I want to help people, I also want to help people on a big scale and give others an opportunity to be able to help on a big scale. So what I did is I said, I am going to impact 300 people in 30 days with their health. In conjunction with that, we together get to donate $1,000 worth of food to the local food pantry called Reach St. Pete, which delivers healthy, whole foods to people's homes. So you get to be a part of that. When I reach 300 people, I am going to buy $1,000 in groceries to deliver to the Reach St. Pete food pantry. So my big goal is that. So my ask is just lean in and see what we're doing here, because it not only helps you reset your body in a fast, simple way, and it tastes really good, a lot of science behind it, but you actually get to be a part of that. And I only have like 11 days left. So it's go time, people. 11 days to reach 300 people. So I have like 200 people to go. So I want you to listen in. That's my big goal, help a lot of people. And I've had a lot of questions about what is the Boost Reset? What is this ashwagandha stuff? What is this moringa powder? What is wheatgrass powder? Like, what are all these weird ingredients? Do they really help me? What's probiotic? What's prebiotic? I mean, you name it, people have asked the question. So I said, Mr. O'Brien, Mr. Smarty Genius Pants, Mr. O'Brien, literally one of the most intelligent people I've ever met in my entire life. I fell in love with his brain before I fell in love with anything else, even though he's super attractive. Let's just face it. I saw him as someone, I'm going to embarrass the heck out of him on here. I'm like the bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and he's like, oh no, don't pay me back. In all reality, all joking aside, I've never met someone so intensely dedicated to helping people on a deeper level, not surface, right? He is literally the smartest person I've ever met, and he deeply appreciates knowledge and applied knowledge. So he agreed to do a deep dive with all the skeptics and the critics. He's not scared of you guys, and he wants you to ask questions. So yeah, so go ahead and put questions in the chat. If you're tuning in, say hello, where you're tuning in from, let us know what your name is so we can communicate. We're on a lot of platforms, and let's just get into the mess. Let's get into the deep dive of like, what the heck is Boost? It's a super greens probiotic, prebiotic, basically a super greens food. My mouth is watering. Literally, guys, every time I think about this drink, my mouth waters because it freaking tastes good. How many times I want to get you guys active in the chat, because I want to know, how many times have you ever tried a greens and it tasted like dirt or grass? Okay, put dirt or grass in the chat right now, because I'm telling you, when I met with the founders and she gave me a sample of this, I literally, sorry, I'm going to cuss a little bit here. And she was like, I was like, I smelled it, I saw it, and I'm like, oh, it doesn't look good. It doesn't smell good. And I mixed it with water, and I was like, what the fuck? I was like, what is this? And I'm like, I cannot believe this tastes like this. And she's like, yeah, it tastes really good. No aftertaste, no chalky, gritty, dirty, grassy flavor, right? I am shocked at how good this tastes. And then I brought it to my critical, in a good way, not a bad way, my critic, analytical, super smarty pants husband, and said, please tell me this is good for you because it tastes so good and we're going to help a lot of people. And guess what he said? Guess what you said? Winner, winner, chicken dinner. He gave a thumbs up. So, Mr. O'Brien, why did you give this a thumbs up first off? And then let's go into some of the questions.
All right. Well, first, I want to give this is a give. As a health coach, I want to start big picture first before we even get into supplements.
Perfect.
Because there's a lot of people, and Hollie knows this because I say it all the time, and I deal with my clients that pay me a lot of money to help them get healthy. And we always got to focus on the forest. So this is going to the skeptics and the critics. If you are worried about what micronutrients and what artificial or natural flavors are in a product that you're eating, and you're not doing these big picture things, first and foremost, don't even worry about that other stuff. Focus on incorporating these big picture things. And the biggest two levers you can do for your functional health span is how long you can live and still bag groceries and bring them home, go, travel, put stuff in the overhead bin, pick your keys up off the floor, drive yourself to the grocery store, shower, all the things. The biggest two levers are exercise. Hate to break this. Yes, it requires some effort. But exercise is now, and I said it in my book in 2011 and 2017, studies came out and validated it, and as exercise being the number one thing you can do for functional health span, more than nutrition, more than cold plunging, more than sauna, all the things that get all the attention. And then the top 2 best-selling health books by somebody that's way smarter than me, Dr. Peter T.A. is my mentor. Just amazing, humble, but genius practicing physician. His book Outlive came out in March 2023. And then Forever Strong by Dr. Gabrielle Lyons, another person way smarter than me. Both their books said exercise is the biggest lever. So if you're not exercising, you should not worry about what little micronutrients you're putting in your foods and stuff like that, because you got to get exercising. Another biggest lever is sleep. And sleep, 6 to 8 hours, quality and quantity, it's so foundational because it's going to affect your ability to lose weight, your energy, your cognitive function, your ability to gain muscle if you are exercising, your ability to recover from that exercise. Mm-hmm. So exercise and sleep should be the first 2 priorities that you get dialed in. And then we would go into whole food nutrition, eating real food as it exists in nature. And there's nuances that we can go into, but my Nutrition Made Simple program, the takeaway there is protein forward and eating foods that don't spike your blood sugar, so you get less glucose blood sugar variability, as well as a low insulin average. Your average insulin score is going to dictate your longevity. So through nutrition, you can control your insulin, doing it right. And by going protein forward, eat I call it leans and greens, lean quality proteins with leafy green vegetables or fibrous vegetables. That should be the main substance on your plate when you're eating food. It should not have a label, should not be in a package, can, bag, for the most part. And so those are the things you want to get dialed in on nutrition. And then recovery and stress management. That's the next big lever. So you got to recover. And that could be deep tissue massage, meditation, quality time with your family, with yourself, white space time, I call it, Bible study, friends groups. You got to have that, as well as stress management. If you are chronically stressed and you're just anxious all the time, that will take years off your life. So you got to deal with that stuff. And then after all of that, if you're not got those reined in, you really, the next lever we talk about is exogenous molecules, and that would include supplementation, vitamins and minerals, probiotics, prebiotics, and pharmaceutical drugs. There are some that definitely can help you lower lipids and inflammation to control heart disease. Some that can non-addictively help you sleep. So drugs serve a purpose. I'm not anti-drug, but I'm definitely not take drugs for everything. That's why I named my book The Magic Pill, which is a metaphor for exercise. Surprise, surprise, is the magic pill, not the ones that we want to take. So that's just kind of teeing it up. So if you're doing all those big lever things, then we get into exogenous molecules, the gut biome, things that we want to talk about. Hollie asked me to talk about, she wants to ask questions about, you might have heard the gut microbiome or the gut biome, probiotics, prebiotics. We want to talk about that. Some of these adaptogens, that's a big long word, nootropics, fiber, all these things. I rarely have seen a product that contains all of these things in a cost-effective way that also tastes good. So before we dive into Boostless, let me tell you my litmus test. I get, as a gym owner now here at Triumph Fitness in Largo, approached all the time. Oh, you got to try my product. And I think people just want me to promote their stuff to my audience. And this is the first product other than the one I formulated for my 2828 program I've ever actively promoted. And because it passes the litmus test, it has quality ingredients. It's not $200. I remember a very popular, how to say it, Beachbody's program had a great product in their greens protein powder, and I can't remember the name of it, but it was like $120 for a 1 pound bag. I thought that was utterly ridiculous because I could replicate 95% of the ingredients for half of that price, or less than half of that price. So cost is a litmus test. A product could be super amazing, have all the things. It could be add 20 years to your life, but if it tastes like ass or crap,
yes,
who's going to drink it? So
who's going to drink it? What does it matter, right? Yeah.
Yeah, my clients ask me, hey, what protein powder you recommend? I go, the one that you'll actually drink, because it doesn't matter what I recommend. If you don't like the taste, it doesn't,
right.
You're not going to drink it. We're humans. Like, so, so that's my litmus test: cost, quality of ingredients, and taste. And I can just say why I gave Boost the thumbs up is it passed all of those litmus tests for me. And we'll dive in some of the specific ingredients that I did some deep dive research on, so we can take it wherever you want to go, Holly. And
awesome. Well, we've got a couple questions in here, so let's ask those first. One of them I thought was a great question. One of the things I've seen a lot of green powders advertised as getting X amount of veggie servings per scoop. I think you should eat vegetables and use a greens powder to supplement your nutrients. What are your thoughts on that?
I was reading one of the other questions. I'm like, these are some good questions.
I know. Well, let's do this one first, because like my thought on this is that's great. Like, yeah, some people will eat vegetables and some people won't. So how, like,
the question again? Is that
I put it up here. One thing I've seen a lot of green powders advertised getting X amount of veggie servings, 1 scoop. I think you should eat your veggies and use greens powder to supplement your nutrients intake. Thoughts?
Yes. First and foremost, great question. Always, you don't want to, the importance of eating real food and whole food nutrients, real food, is for satiety. I'm going to reveal something that's not so encouraging, I guess. The reality of today's nutrients in our food. So I don't eat my veggies for under the guise of how many nutrients I'm going to get. The reality is today's produce has about 10% of the nutrients of produce from the 1960s, at least according to one study that I saw. So a lot less nutrients just from over-farmed soil, industrialized world economy. Like a lot of the apples you eat, surprise, surprise, were harvested 9 months ago. They put a wax on them to stop the ripening process. And then when they're ready to put them out on the shelves and make them look all pretty, they take that wax off with a solvent and clean them up. So a lot of the nutrients, the produce and vegetables, fruits, vegetables that we eat are harvested prematurely before the nutrients even get in there. So it's just about feeding the masses. So I don't eat fruits and vegetables with the intent that I'm getting all my micronutrients. I eat them for fullness, stomach fullness, which is important. The stretch reflex in the stomach is important for satiety. And then more importantly, for the fiber that I saw one of the questions asked about fiber that does feed the good gut bacteria we're going to talk about. And that's one of the cool things about this product compared to some of the other products in the super greens market that don't have fiber. They kind of address that, and can't wait to do a deep dive on that. So,
well, it actually goes into our, yeah, no, that's great. I love that because we get the nutrients from the fresh vegetables, the whole foods, and this is an addition. It's like a super boost, like injection.
You're gonna have to supplement, the nutrient side with a supplement to make up for the lack of nutrients in what you're eating. Right. But you still want to eat that real food for satiety, gastric distension, and for the fiber.
So another one, deets on fiber intake and how the body processes it different.
Oh yeah.
Different forms of fiber, all fiber. Also, the inulin powder in the boost is the fiber part right.
Yeah.
I don't know if I'm saying that right. Okay, you go.
This will be a good deep dive real quick into the gut microbiome. And this is where fiber is important. And I'm also going to kind of talk about, I've joked with my people, like these weight loss shots that everybody's getting and semaglutide, and they're marketed under the brand Ozempic and Wegovy. Ozempic for diabetes, Wegovy for weight loss, same exact semaglutide, and then tirzepatide's the other one. And those drugs are essentially what's called a GLP-1 mimetic or imitator. And the good news is our gut bacteria, gut biome actually are involved in a process that makes GLP-1 naturally. And this is where we get into the fiber, the importance of fiber in our diet. And now I'm not talking about 150 grams of fiber, because you would be probably one big constipated person, but enough to feed the good gut bacteria. So let me break down real quick, just simply how the process works. When you eat fiber, your body, we cannot break that down by ourselves. So the digestive tract, esophagus, mouth, esophagus, stomach, small intestine, large intestine, anus, that is a closed loop system and considered outside the body. It's not internal. It's kind of hard to, it's kind of inside our body, but it is completely external, meaning anything that goes through it will not get into our body unless the body absorbs it or brings it in. So it's a closed loop system. And this is the importance of having our microbiota, the gut biome, bacteria that live if your gut is not in a state of dysbiosis, which means everything's out of whack. Those bacteria actually ferment the fiber. They eat the fiber, and a byproduct of that, and I'm assuming you have like a good gut microbiome, you eat fiber, they ferment it, and it produces butyrate. And butyrate is the fuel for the L cells. I know it's getting into the weeds a little bit.
Yes, it's good.
The specific cells that are part of our intestinal tract called L cells, that fuel is what feeds them. And guess what they make? GLP-1. So GLP-1, glucagon-like peptide 1, is a peptide hormone. You're familiar with hormones. Insulin's a hormone, testosterone's a hormone, estrogen's a hormone, thyroid's a hormone. Well, there's a lot of hormones in the body, and they are basically signaling molecules that tell something in your body to do something. So GLP-1 is pretty magical when it comes to satiety and weight loss and feeling good and feeling full. So backing up, gut bacteria eat fiber, produce butyrate. Butyrate feeds the L cells. L cells make GLP-1. GLP-1 can travel up the vagus nerve, tell the brain that you're full or you're feeling full, you're satiety, you're satiated. So that's kind of how the process would work if you're eating fiber and you have the gut bacteria in the first place. So if you take antibiotics or a course of antibiotics, which serve a purpose situationally, but if you have been over medicated with antibiotics, every time you take a course of antibiotics, you essentially nuke, like Hiroshima, all your gut bacteria. So you're almost starting from scratch.
Holy cow.
So whenever that happens, you want to have an intelligent process to feed those good gut bacteria. And a lot of times you've just been sick. You take your doctor's like, I don't know if you have a virus or an infection. Infections are what antibiotics are treating. Virus, antivirals, there's not really a whole lot that can help you there, as we learned in COVID, which was a virus. But when you get over medicated with antibiotics, you nuke that bacteria. You're not feeling good normally after those situations. When you finally feel like you can eat again, you eat crap. You just want to eat the soul food to feel better. But that's the most important time or critical time to eat fiber and quality foods to repopulate your good gut bacteria. So a lot of people are probably in a state of dysbiosis, which is basically the populations of your gut microbiome are out of whack. And SIBO is one example, when bacteria that are supposed to be in the large intestine have migrated up to the small intestine. And when you eat fiber, instead of them being in the large intestine where there's lots of room, they're in the small intestine, and you can experience that intense bloating, and your stomach can even distend, and it can be pretty painful. So that's just one example of dysbiosis. Colitis is another one. IBS, Crohn's disease, an extreme example, where they might actually have to remove part of your intestine from chronic inflammation. So just understanding, for most of us, we can avoid that by eating whole food nutrition with fiber to feed the good gut bacteria. And up until recently, I, along with Dr. Attia, Peter Attia, and if you do like to read or listen to books on Audible, you got to check out Outlive. That would be my top recommendation for a book on health and health span, bar none. It addresses everything I do in the magic. I would recommend that even over my own book, but read mine second. But he talks about, like, he's just like, show me the proof, show me the evidence. And I definitely want to answer the question on artificial sweeteners later, but he is about show me the evidence. There's been a lot of hype about the gut microbiome, and a lot of products, supplements that have come out that are based on hype more than scientific substance. And for 10 years, basically, he said, nobody could answer his questions, which are always like, show me the money. You remember Jerry Maguire, but he's like, show me the proof. Show me the proof.
Show me the proof.
Well, just recently, a company called Pendulum funded a study, actually it was in 2021, that finally showed and demonstrated that 5 strains of bacteria in the gut, when populated properly, will absolutely affect body weight, and satiety, and how you feel. And the gut microbiome is involved in immune function, in producing neurotransmitters, serotonin and dopamine. We used to think that was all in the brain, but 80 to 85% of those are made in the gut, and
holy cow,
by going up the vagus nerve. So they call it the enteric nervous system that's in the gut, to go along with the central nervous system in our brains. So they all work together. It's pretty fascinating. But this latest research has proven, beyond a shadow of doubt, through the process I already described, fiber, gut bacteria, butyrate, L cells, GLP-1, that we can influence that, and through nutrition. But stress and all the things I talked about, big picture, if you're not doing that, guess what? It affects your gut microbiome negatively, and antibiotics, like I already said. So that's just things to consider. I don't want to overcomplicate. We always want to stay focused on the forest. Do all those things I already talked about. If you're just tuning in, definitely watch that back, because you got to do that. Get help. Just like raising kids, it takes a village. And that's why I always advocate. In my book, I have a whole chapter on how to find a coach, how to find a trainer, at least to get started, because it's very unlikely you're going to be successful doing it on your own. Get a coach, get help, just to get you over the hump and get into a routine. So,
well, and that's one of the reasons with the Boost Reset, I'm gifting everyone my coaching program, and you are going to be able to get into our groups, because that's what we are not meant to do life alone. We get to do this with you. This isn't just, hey, buy this supplement, it's a magic pill, it changes everything. We want to invite you along for the journey of a better, longer, healthier life. Longevity. Strength is key. Strength is, strong is young. We're learning that the more muscle you have, the stronger you are. It's not about being skinny. Guys, we're giving you an opportunity. If you're not sleeping, if you're not working out, if you're not doing all these different things, and you could change one thing in a simple way, we get to help you change that. And then you get to start on your journey to have that better health, to have more energy. Are you hearing this? Like, your gut is everything. It's not just, oh, I want to be thin, right? That's a byproduct, right? Or I just want to have more energy. That's a byproduct. What about changing your whole life with your health? actually changing your gut biome that changes your brain. I'm telling you, I got goosebumps. This is pretty amazing. So one of the questions was about artificial sweeteners. I'm going to answer this one really quick because this is a short answer. I'm a busy mom. This one's so good with little athletes. Always looking for a way to get healthy ingredients into my kids. Can my kids have Boost? If so, how much is safe per serving? So our kids like the flavor. Actually, the boys were drinking it this morning. My son Caden likes more sour. I have to be honest, if I put lemon in it. But the other two were drinking it. We had a neighborhood kid over, which she's kind of like our son anyways. So Matt, is this healthy for kids? Like, can kids drink this? Can adults drink this? Like, who can have this?
Yes, the answer is yes. And as Holly can attest, like our favorite breakfast is Daddy's special smoothie, they call it. Supplementing your kids is not bad or wrong. It's just if the product passes all the tests I talked about earlier, based on, these are just whole food ingredients that have been combined through desiccation, which is basically drying, and then they chop them up into little micro bits and you reconstitute with water. So the hydration, it's dehydrated. So all the water's out, and that's like 80 to 90 to 95% of food volume in most cases. And that's how you can get, I like to say a produce store. I actually stole this from Holly. A produce drawer full of vegetables in, a single scoop. So to answer the question succinctly, yes, it's fine for kids. And you're just kids, in the foundational development years, protein, the nutrients of, micronutrients from plant-based foods. And one quick tangent / soapbox, plant-based diet, which 65% of Americans are eating calories from a plant-based diet, according to the FDA. And it's Skittles are a plant-based diet. Snickers bar, that's a plant-based bar. Potato chips, plant-based. So plant-based means absolutely nothing.
Plant-based.
It means nothing. That's why we say real food, whole food, doesn't come in a bag, package with a list of a lot of ingredients. And if you are eating out of a packaged bag or a frozen box or something, the less ingredients, the better, is a good rule of thumb. And the first 4 or 5 ingredients should be real food things, not chemical names. But yes, safe for kids. And do we want to piggyback on the artificial flavors question, or you want to hit that one up?
Yeah, let's hit that one really quick. I'm saying thank you. We think you're amazing too, Emily.
Thank you, Emily.
No Organ Works Alone. You're right. Outlive by Peter Attia. That's the book. So yes, there's a lot of questions about artificial sweeteners. What are they? I've even had people say, "Oh, monk fruit and stevia is artificial sweetener. I can't have it." Like, can you just clear up some information? Like, what? This is sweetened with monk fruit and stevia, which I know doesn't have a glycemic impact, which is also what you talked about earlier. Like, the cost of having high glycemic foods over a long period of time is detrimental to your body. When your body is going up at your glycemic index up and down, there we go. This causes havoc on your body. So I like that there's an option where it does have a little bit of a sweet flavor and it doesn't affect your blood sugar. So this is kind of a 2-part question.
Signed copy.
Look at you. I want to meet him. So back to
create a podcast that I can have him on as a guest, or better be a guest on his podcast called The Drive.
That would be awesome. So 2 questions, opinion on sweeteners. And then, people have the misconception that stevia and monk fruit are artificial sweeteners. Can you kind of clear that up a little bit? Make it simple.
Love to. First and foremost, big picture. If you'll notice a trend, I always like to focus on the forest before we get into the trees, and then certainly before you get into the weeds. The big picture, another guy smarter than me, Lane Norton, PhD, practices what he preaches. That's another litmus test for experts or people that have the knowledge, the training. They practice what they preach. They also have a client or patient base that they test these things on, and then the results, they analyze the results. And that's basically what I do as a health coach. I test it on myself. Then my wife is usually my second guinea pig. And then I test it on a few of my closer clients, and then I measure the results. And Based on that, I can determine efficacy, effectiveness, all that stuff. And if it's working, great. If it's not, you pivot. But when it comes to artificial sweeteners or natural sweeteners, these are things that I go to experts, again, way smarter than me, that have done the legwork and the research, and then summarizing it for me in a context that I can understand and digest pretty quickly. Well, Lane Norton, who's got a PhD in nutrition and practices what he preaches, and he's a world-class athlete himself, he did essentially a research expose on artificial sweeteners and natural sweeteners to eliminate another big picture. There's a lot of misinformation and marketing hype. So you got to understand the food industry and the drug industry have the most strongest influence on everything from Congress to government to legal actions to the marketing you see. You have to be able to differentiate between marketing hype, because you can use stats and big words and emotional techniques to influence people's buying decisions. And if you don't have the substance behind it, that's the litmus test. Like in food, it's like, read the label. Don't, Hollie used to hate this, but now she's a believer. Trust but verify. If it's trying to convince you it's healthy on the front, the more it's trying to convince you on the front, the more likely it's bad on the back. So get you to buy without even looking on the back. But trust but verify. So there's a lot of hype, misinformation surrounding artificial sweeteners and natural sweeteners. And this goes back to another big picture thing. A lot of marketing hype is based on study data that's done in organisms other than human beings. And mice is the most typical. And a lot of the artificial sweetener hype and stuff like aspartame causes brain cancer and NutraSweet will wreck your gut biome is all based on mouse studies, and they're basically eating, their metabolism is very different than ours, and they're eating concentrations like the aspartame study. We would have to drink 1,000 Diet Cokes a day to get the equivalent dose that was used in the study that created the brain cancer. So you always kind of have to take these studies with a grain of salt. I always look at, for me, is it a human study? Is it placebo-controlled? Is it a clinical trial? What are the absolute results versus the relative results? So absolute is, for one example, real quick, there's a famous study that came out that was like, estrogen, hormone replacement therapy. This is a women's health initiative in the 90s. And the headlines that came out in 2000 were like, hormone replacement therapy causes, raises breast cancer risk by 35% in women. And when you look at the study data, which they had to retract in 2016 when they reanalyzed the data, actually third parties did, and they realized actually estrogen replacement lowered the risk of breast cancer. It was this progesterone estrogen group that had an elevated risk. But if you look at the absolute numbers, and this is going to blow you away, it was like the control group that had no hormone replacement therapy, per 1,000 women, 3 over the 10 years got breast cancer. The group that had the 35% elevated risk with the progesterone, that is a hormone that it was an equine version from horses that's not even available today. They had 4 cases per 1,000, 3 per 1,000, 4 per 1,000. So that's absolute risk versus relative risk, like 3 out of 3 versus 4 is how they come up with this 35% relative risk. So statisticians, marketers, owners of these companies can manipulate statistics to make it sound like, oh my God, I gotta buy this or I gotta not do that. So that's just a little tee up for getting into artificial sweeteners. So Lane Norton, the PhD I was describing, knew all this existed. So he did this expose research article and analyzed all the current data And essentially the takeaway was at the doses that you would eat or drink, like even if you had 3 Diet Cokes a day, there was no negative influence on gut bacteria, no relative risk or absolute risk increase to brain cancer. Now, that's not to say I'm supporting artificial sweeteners. It's just to say if it's a very small part, and this is my thing I tell my clients, if a little bit of NutraSweet or Splenda or sucralose or whatever is enough to get you to take a protein supplement that I know having that 40 grams of protein forward nutrition I talked about earlier is going to move the needle and help you build skeletal muscle mass, which I know will affect your functional health span, which I know will decrease the risk of a hip fracture in your 60s, which 35% of people that get a hip fracture or femur fracture over the age of 65 die within 1 year, 35%. Another 40% die within 3 years. So 2/3 of people that get those fractures will die. So if I can have you take a supplement and do the exercise that's going to prevent that risk for some, little bit of NutraSweet, sign me up or sign you up. So that's the way the lens I look at things, big picture, forest.
Yeah.
And so don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. I told Hollie that's going to come up at some point. If you get the big picture, and that's 95% benefit for the skeptical possible risk in a mouse study that you might possibly affect your gut biome by having NutraSweet, do the protein. So if you want to be a purist and do a natural, non-sweetened whey, grass-fed whey protein, which some of my clients do, cool. But for most people, I'm a realist, busy people, got to taste good. They got to be able to mix it with water, be able to drink it, much like Boost.
Well, and that's what I was going to say. Here's the cool thing, guys. Like when people come into our gym, they come in, I'm going to stop smoking. I'm not drinking soda. I want to lose 10 pounds. I'm going to run every day. And then we just say, no, don't do any of that. Just walk in the door. And this is people losing the forest through the trees. They literally take all this stuff and they try to do it all at once, and then they fail again, and then they don't come back. We don't want you to do this anymore. Stop. We need to stop, and we need to take one step at a time and incorporate things that are simple, and don't lose the forest through the trees. Drink your Diet Coke. Don't stop smoking cigarettes. You're going to eventually stop as you start getting healthier. So we encourage people, if you're going to do one thing, make it simple. Oh, but it has monk fruit, which it's not bad. We're going to clear that up a little bit. You're 40 pounds overweight. You don't work out. You don't sleep at night. You're drinking every night. You go out to McDonald's, all the things. I'm not going to take this because it has monk fruit. Guys, that's losing the forest through the trees. You're not going to do something good for yourself because of something you're standing on. But when you really do the research and understand that you can take something so simple and completely change your life and start taking the small steps to a better, longer, happier life, that's what we're trying to get you to do, to try to take that first step. Does that make sense? Thumbs up, everyone. Does that make sense? So don't lose the forest through the trees. So back to monk fruit and stevia. Are those artificial sweeteners? It's not cane sugar. What does it matter if it spikes my insulin? Like, what does that really mean? How does that help me?
Let me jump on that. And then I want to acknowledge the people that are asking great questions. And I'm going to hit the ones that I see over here real quick after I answer this question. But so Boost is sweetened with stevia and monk fruit. So stevia comes from stevia leaf. It's just an extract from a plant. And monk fruit is actually my favorite natural, non-nutritive sweetener. So non-nutritive just means it not affecting blood sugar. It doesn't have calories. So monk fruit comes from monk fruit. Just like cane sugar comes from sugar cane. It just doesn't affect blood sugar and is non-nutritive, so it doesn't have calories. So, and I feel like monk fruit's 1-to-1 sweetness, a tablespoon or teaspoon of monk fruit versus a teaspoon of sugar is pretty equivalent. So if that's what it takes to be palatable, to get all the benefits of Boost that we haven't even touched yet, scratch the surface, that's a fair trade-off. But they're natural ingredients. I'm not a big fan of stevia by itself because it just, for whatever reason, just feels like something's missing. But the combination of monk fruit and stevia is really good and tastes more believable. And then so that's what Boost is sweetened with. So that gives, even for the skeptics, those are natural sweeteners, but again, non-nutritive, artificial, or natural. Again, we get back to the baby in the bathwater thing. So I hope put that to rest, but I want to touch on a couple things real quick for this.
And if you guys want more of a deep dive, I mean, we could probably spend hours and hours and hours talking on this. I definitely want to get to the nutrients behind Boost and why we are having this conversation. So put in the chat if you want us to deep dive on different things, because we can do that for you. That's why we want you to be in our groups. And that's why we're doing the Boost Reset. That's why I'm gifting you my program. That's why we're using this as an opportunity to feed people who are hungry in Pinellas County. This is a give, 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 give. So please put in the chat if there's a deep dive you want us to go in, but put the topic. So I say deep dive, but put the topic after that, and we'll do some deep dive. So Mr. Brian, go back to what you were about to say before.
I just want to hit these real things because they're scrolling up and I don't want to miss them. Somebody asked about organic versus regular produce. God has built our bodies with an amazing liver and immune system that can deal with a small trace amount of pesticides, of free radical damage, of all the things. If you're doing the big picture stuff I talked about in the beginning, you're optimizing your body to deal with environmental stressors. So a little bit of this, a little bit of that. If you're doing the big picture, your body's equipped to handle. So the organic versus non-organic produce, grass-fed beef versus non-organic, non-grass-fed. Big picture, you're getting there's not a whole lot of difference in the nutrients. And I would rather you get the fiber from whatever produce, organic or not, whatever's available that looks good and it's palatable. That's the big picture. And if you want to pay the additional money for organic, and yes, there's going to be a little bit higher quality nutrients in that, but it's still going to be deficient compared to what I talked about earlier. So you're going to need to supplement certain nutrients, and then no time to get into the details, but we eat really good compared to most, I would think. And even when I got tested, I was critically deficient in several micronutrients. Iodine was one of them as an example. It's just because there's just not the nutrients in our food. So we have to supplement. And you don't have to supplement with mega doses of all these nutrients. It's most important to get tested for the big ones like vitamin D, iodine, B12. Those are things that are simple fixes with micronutrient supplementation. So that's the organic one. Somebody talked about Ozempic and other meds. Yeah, those are big fads right now. This is why I called my book The Magic Pill, or titled it, because everybody wants a magic pill. And Ozempic and Mounjaro, which is the tirzepatide, those are popping up everywhere. Like I jokingly say 7-Eleven is going to be having shot clinics eventually. Pretty soon. Fill up your gas, grab a big gulp, and get your Ozempic shot. That's coming, but it is, and again, it goes back to this mechanism of GLP-1, this peptide hormone that we can naturally make with the right ingredients. And so I think that's a good segue into the ingredients found in Boost. Let's talk about the fiber first, because I know there was a question way back about inulin. So Boost that was the first thing I looked at or noticed. I was like, holy crap, it's got fiber too. And fiber, if you've heard the term prebiotic, just a quick, prebiotic is fiber. It feeds the good gut bacteria. Probiotic are the organisms, living organisms, that a lot of companies are selling probiotics. Here's the deal. Unfortunately, most of them are crap. Probiotics are living organisms in the gut. Most of them are anaerobic, meaning if they get exposed to oxygen, they die. So when you buy a probiotic supplement, if it's not in a controlled temperature controlled environment, not encapsulated in a product and not produced in a way that's never exposed to oxygen, you're just wasting your money. And a study found that 95% of the organisms in most probiotics that are sold over the counter are dead. So you're just eating dead bacteria. Yogurt, certain strains of yogurt, lactobacillus is one that you may recommend. Bifido, some long name, is another common one found in yogurt. Bifidobacteria is how most people say it. Those are live cultures. They're living in the yogurt. So those are aerobic. Those generally live in the stomach and upper small intestine. But your ones that do all the magic I talked about earlier, and if you're tuning in now, definitely watch back when it's over. You can watch it. It'll be on all these platforms where I talked about the mechanism. But those are anaerobic. So if you want a real good probiotic, there's only one that has proven in a study. And I was telling about my client about it yesterday. And it's called Pendulum. It's not cheap. If you do it right, they are losing money right now selling this for, it's like $250 for a 1 month supply. Or if you do a 3-month subscription, it's $165. It comes refrigerated. The machine to make it was $15 million. The process takes time. So I just want to throw that if
you can't get your probiotic for $10. Like some people are like, oh, it's too much.
If you're taking probiotics, you're kind of wasting your time and money.
So tell me more about prebiotics then.
Yeah. So focus on the prebiotics, and then there's symbiotics, which is a whole nother category and discussion, which we won't get into, but prebiotics are basically fiber. And in Boost, inulin in 2.5 grams per scoop is essentially a fiber called a fructin, comes from fruit. When you eat an apple, that has pectin. That's a fruit-based fiber. So these are the ones that, they're soluble and insoluble fiber. The soluble is one that breaks down pretty easily, and the insoluble is one that, like when it's floating on the top, if you really have wild rice, you see that little stuff that's floating around. So this is stuff that we cannot break down. So inulin is one that I would consider, or is considered, a prebiotic, and that's going to go eventually, assuming you don't have dysbiosis in the gut, to those gut bacteria. Akkermansia is the primary one that's been studied. That population is the one that is primarily responsible for, at least to today's knowledge, for producing that benefit I described about the GLP-1. And GLP-1 is essentially, going back to Ozempic and Mounjaro, they are GLP-1 mimetics or imitators. So you're just taking a shot to create that when your good gut bacteria can do it for you naturally. So inulin is going to go into your gut, feed those good gut bacteria, Akkermansia being one of them. And there's other strains. And then they're going to make the butyrate that feeds the L cells, that makes the GLP-1, that goes up to your brain and says, hey, Matt, you're full, or you're feeling you don't need.
So this is why I feel full when I drink this. Because when I drink this, I'm telling you, like, if you're someone that's like a nervous eater, or you get hungry throughout the day, or you need to feel full, like, is this why I feel full when I drink this?
That's one. And then it also has glucomannan in 300 milligrams per scoop. So glucomannan is another fiber from yam root. And it's what they use in magic noodles and konjac noodles, way that you can eat a whole bowl of these noodles and have only 60 calories,
right?
Because it's a insoluble fiber, and it absorbs 50 times its weight in water. So this is the thing I tell my people, you can't make Boost in advance and leave it. You can, but if you leave it sitting, that fiber is going to start absorbing the water, and it's going to turn kind of into like a gel. And that's what it does in your stomach and in your intestines. It absorbs water, creates volume, and that through the distension mechanism. Distension means stretch. So if you've ever gorged on a buffet or something, or just totally stuffed yourself, that stretch reflex in the stomach says, hey, dummy, you're full, stop eating. So you can create that, with a fiber-based substance supplement, or in fibrous vegetables and fruits. So the big picture, though, to get all the micronutrients, plant-based nutrients that are in Boost, like the reason why you can supplement is to get all that, the shopping and the chopping, the amount of food volume you have to eat, and the cost of all that food, it just makes it prohibitive. So this is a way you can do it in literally less than a minute from making it to clean up, and however fast you want to drink it, call it 3 minutes or 5 minutes if you want to sip it. You got all the benefits on a very cost-effective way. But more importantly than that, like if you're not budgeting, when you're an entrepreneur, you run a business, and Hollie's and her coaches is one challenging her to create this 300 customer challenge. Coaches, we know what gets measured, managed, but we also learn to value our time. If you don't cost manage your time, like I value my time at $200 an hour. So when Hollie and I had a discussion, and you should consult your spouse when you're talking about big decisions like buying a home, when we bought our house, had the discussion, like, I don't want to have to spend 3 hours on my weekends I don't have very limited time. I work on Saturdays, so I only have Sundays, mowing the lawn. So it's going to take me 3 hours. I budget my time $200 an hour. And so that would be $600 a weekend. I'm like, if we can find it for less than $600 a weekend, then it's cost effective. And I think we pay $150 for the month.
$120.
How many?
$120. $120.
So that's like from a cost management standpoint, $120 versus $1,200 of my time, and that goes with nutrition too. Like why I get butcher box delivery for our grass-fed beef. I don't have to go find it, source it, shop it, buy it. It just comes to my door, every other month. Saves me that $200 of my time to do that, and it costs less than $200 to get it, and I get all the meat too. So
how does that relate back to Boost? So back to Boost, you've seen me get the juicing and like the hours of, how does that relate there?
So it's if you want to juice, we have a juicer, and Hollie was into it for
half a minute.
Season. But when it comes to buying, grocery bags of produce, and you're feeding into this juicer, it extracts the pulp, which is where all this prebiotic fiber I just taught you about lives, and you're essentially throwing that away, or they say to compost it or feed it, put it in, create some dog food out of it or something. But it's just the time to buy it. I call it the shop it, the chop it, and then to juice it, and then you're extracting the prebiotics out of it, and you're on the fence of whether it's actually going to taste good or not. All that, when you factor all that in, it's just not realistic for most people. Honestly, Hollie was spending, anytime she was going to make some juices, it was an hour process of juicing and cleaning up, and that's not including the shopping and chopping. So let's just call it 2 hours, and you can do it in 2 minutes with Boost for $2 a serving, or whatever it is. It's close to that, right?
It's about $2.50 serving, depending on I have gift cards, guys. If you haven't tried this before, I have a gift card for you. It's like $2 a day. And it's shocking to me how many people don't feel like they're worth spending $2 a day. So I do want to kind of rein this in a little bit, just to give a really quick, short, what ingredients are in here? Why would you recommend this? Why should I spend $2 or $2.50 on myself a day when I can go spend $5 on a Frappuccino that I know I'm going to love, right? Like, why would I buy this and spend $2.50? Like, I just want to give people a little bit of an idea of what this really does for your body fast and how it's going to help them immediately.
Absolutely. And I'm going to segue that with the question somebody asked, when should I have Boost?
Perfect.
So one of the things I talked about earlier about protein forward and the big picture with nutrition, if you want, because somebody asked, can they have it in lieu of breakfast? Depending on if you're not exercising, start exercising. But as a breakfast or a meal replacement, you would want to add in some kind of supplemental protein. And so you're getting the protein forward, the fiber, for those prebiotic, the prebiotic fiber. And then you're also getting the micronutrients from a drawer's, I don't know exactly how much it is, but we're just calling it a drawer's worth of produce. And then you would have what I would call a true superfood meal replacement. So you're going to have your protein, your micronutrient fiber, and that would be a great meal replacement for the person that asked. Just so you know, our software just says Facebook user, so we don't know the name. But I'm hoping that answers your question. But let's dive into some of these ingredients. And I did a quick scan of the Boost label and recognized some that I already researched. The first thing I saw was the fiber, the inulin, the glucomannan. And I was like, score that. That's definitely different than the leading brand. And then, of course, we tasted it. And Hollie didn't even say this. We, blind taste tested it against this leading brand, which is AG1. And 8 out of 10 people actually preferred the Boost. So I was like, score that. And then the next thing I started diving into the ingredients. And we're not going to go into all of them, but moringa, ashwagandha, and bromelain, besides the two I talked about already, the inulin and the glucomannan. Moringa at 200 milligrams. One study showed that 120 milligrams of moringa per day lowered blood pressure. So if you're dealing with blood pressure is a health indicator as well, like exercise. And I talked about earlier, but just to quantify this, exercise was 10 times more predictive than blood pressure or functional health span. So exercise, but high blood pressure, you definitely want to control it. But 120 grams, so a little bit less than what's in Boost, a serving, lower blood pressure 2 hours post-consumption. And also, it's basically moringa works as a natural vasodilator, meaning it relaxes your blood vessels. So they're a bigger tube, if you know physics, fluid flowing through it. There's less pressure. Just like a hose, you create pressure by forcing a big hose into a little, whatever you call a hole in your, whatever I don't even know what those handle things are called, squirty things. It shoots out a lot more pressure. So by vasodilating, relaxing the blood vessels, that's just one mechanism of action. And a lot of people are familiar or have probably heard about inflammation. In my nutrition plan, we focus, the forest is insulin and inflammation. Whatever you eat, what does it do to insulin and inflammation? That's the forest. But moringa is shown to lower inflammation in the body. It also has high in antioxidants and blood sugar control, cholesterol control, protects the liver, boosts immune function, fights common infections. We're in flu and cold and flu season right now, and there's this big, stomach virus that's going around, stomach flu. So this is, along with sleep and exercise, going to help elevate natural immune function. So that's just the moringa, one ingredient.
I know. I'm like, wait, that's just one of the ingredients. What?
And what I'm most impressed with, that the dose that's in it is actually a little bit more than the study dose. So
wow,
big check for that one.
Wow. Check. Okay. Keep going. I like it.
The next one I recognized and was excited about was ashwagandha. That's one that's getting a lot of publicity. A lot of people are selling ashwagandha and a lot of marketing hype around it. Again, if you're not exercising, sleep, doing all those things, ashwagandha is not going to really make a whole lot of difference. You're going to feel a little bit better, but it's not going to add years to your life like those other things. But ashwagandha is an adaptogen. And what is an adaptogen? It's just a name for ingredients that can adapt to what you need, meaning they can amplify the effects of hormones in your body, if that makes sense, or they can downregulate things if that helps you. So it's basically a positive adapter is what an adaptogen is. Ashwagandha is probably the most studied and most talked about adaptogen right now. But in study findings, again, back to human studies, ashwagandha is shown to reduce anxiety and stress. So if you are stressed out all the time, ashwagandha is going to help lower that level. It's not going to be a miracle worker, but it will help. It increases your restful sleep. Sleep is foundational, like I talked about earlier. One night of crappy sleep, whether it's not enough quality or quantity, meaning hours, like you only get 4 hours, which I'm guilty of from time to time, or the quality is off because of some reason, that will raise your cortisol levels 30-35%. When cortisol is out of balance, it's our fight or flight hormone. You're going to have trouble losing weight and you'll gain weight easier. But that's why those two are important. But ashwagandha is going to help increase your restful sleep. And by doing that, it's going to improve your cognitive function. So if you're stumbling around in brain fog, that could be due to sleep quality, ashwagandha can help supplement and improve your sleep. Ashwagandha also has been demonstrated to lower blood pressure. So I think it's in the neighborhood of 60% of American adults over the age of 50 have high blood pressure. So something that this could naturally help lower it. Here's the crazy one. Now, I didn't even know this. So when I was researching it specifically for this episode with Hollie, ashwagandha has actually been found in several studies to increase strength and muscle size. So one of the things I work with my clients that
why my muscles are so big. No.
Yeah. So strength, muscle mass, and cardiorespiratory fitness, another thing, which vasodilation helps with that. But strength specifically is the number one predictor of functional health span along with VO2 max. So assuming you're exercising is just going to help enhance benefits of that exercise. And another study found that increased speed and strength. So speed and power we lose as we get older.
I need to highlight that one.
So we can do something about that by doing training. You use it or lose it. So you got to start using it. So ashwagandha has been supplementing ashwagandha doing the training. That study group had better speed and power and strength at the end of the study versus the same training group doing the same training without the ashwagandha. So that was a big check for me. So that's the reason I'm doing it. So for the guys, or maybe you're dealing with some fertility issues, I won't get into it's a sensitive topic. And I've had clients, and I have one I'm doing a consult with on Tuesday or Wednesday that are dealing with fertility issues. And to me, our kids are our greatest gift and such a blessing. And so I'm so passionate about helping people with fertility. And the reality is the standard American diet, the SAD, SAD of processed foods lowers fertility, lowers sperm quality. Well, ashwagandha has been shown to improve sexual function and sperm quality in males. So check that box. That was kind of a cool thing. Then going back to brain function, which is hyper important to me, so I can talk to you and I can express my thoughts, hopefully in a way that makes sense. And ashwagandha has been shown to improve memory, cognitive function, motor skills compared to a placebo. And then the other number one, along with exercise, so technically number one is VO2 max, which is just a measure of cardiorespiratory fitness. It's not something you're going to do yourself unless you're a cyclist in the Tour de France or an elite athlete. We have a mock system with our heart rate monitor that can predict your VO2 max, but ashwagandha has been shown to improve VO2 max in several studies, which is that cardiorespiratory function. So that is number one predictor of functional health span, and strength is number two. So ashwagandha helps with both of those along with sexual function. So bam, triple whammy.
Ashwagandha equal good.
Yeah.
To make it simple.
So, that's pretty cool. And then the last one we can dive into is bromelain, and that has a positive effect on cancer cells. So cancer is a scary thing. Along with Alzheimer's, number 1 and 2 fears of American public, meaning you don't want to get those. Even a lot, way more than heart disease, which kills the most Americans. But the way cancer happens, you have your epigenetics and your genetics. So you have your gene code that your parents gave you. You can't do anything about it, just the cards you were dealt. But that's 15% predictor of whether you're going to get cancer or not, or when you're going to get cancer. Epigenetics is 85%. And epigenetics,
No.
your environment, your friends, your social circles, what you eat, whether you exercise or not, your sleep, all the things, the big picture, 85%.
Whoa.
So, yeah. So what happens is our cells are always dividing, and these mutations can happen, and you can get precancerous cells. Fasting, like extended fasting, is one way to create apoptosis, which is cell death, killing those precancerous cells. So we like to do a fast twice a year, 3 to 5 days. We're going to be doing that in our winter meltdown coming up at Triumph and online if you want to participate. That nukes cancer cells, and then bromelain been shown to positively affect cancer cells in that way. And then lowers sinusitis. And then another thing related to heart disease, it inhibits platelet aggregation. So you may know somebody, or you may be somebody yourself that's on warfarin, which is a blood thinner. That's an antiplatelet aggregation drug. So bromelain does that naturally. That's one of the cool benefits that Boost has 200 milligrams of it. So pretty cool. So those were the ones that I feel like are the most important to talk about that I looked at in the research. And just if it only had those three plus the 2 fibers I mentioned, inulin and glucomannan, I would be drinking it every day just for that.
Wow. And it's not just that. There's 34 different superfoods in here. So it's soy-free, vegan, gluten-free, non-GMO, dairy-free, no artificial sweeteners. It has all the things that we just talked about there. Like if you're not sold now, I don't know what'll sell you to feel better, right? Like this is your body. Like you have one body. Why would you not want to put something in it that's going to help your body live stronger and better and longer? It's like putting apple juice in your car and expecting to be able to drive across country. And you're wondering, why is my car not driving? Guys, take a look at what you're putting inside your body. I love French fries. I love pizza. I love bread. I love pasta. Mouth watering. I get it. I get you. I understand you. Here's a way for you to counteract, what's one?
Antidote. It's like the antidote.
The antidote to be able to add these into your life. I'm too busy. I can't work out. We can make all the excuses. This takes a minute. It has unbelievable ingredients. It's something that's going to help you. It tastes really good. Several people on here have commented how much it tastes, how good it tastes. The great thing is literally, people can't agree on anything. Let's just face it. We don't agree on anything. The amount of people have said, wow, this tastes really good. Wow, I already feel better. Just give it a try. Worst case scenario, you decide you won't get it again. Best case scenario, you're going to get everything that you've been looking for in such a small amount of time. It takes like a minute, 2 minutes.
Let me give a quick takeaway, another give that my coaching clients that pay me a lot of money that goes into the Triumph Fund, running a business. But if you like pizza, French fries, ice cream, all those things, a simple strategy like my Nutrition Made Simple program does not prohibit any foods. I call them the fun foods because I'm a realist, and if I
love French fries,
we know deprivation doesn't work. So I was just telling them a simple strategy, and I just had a client yesterday, like, hey, if we do pizza, which we really love, I said, do serving a Boost with some protein, or eat some protein beforehand and then have your pizza. It's kind of like an antidote effect. The difference is you're going to eat less pizza for one. And I would say enjoy the pizza. Don't buy Papa John's, get something legit. Enjoy a quality slice, and they'll probably have 1 or 2 slices versus maybe 3 or 4. And it's going to also dramatically affect the blood sugar response and the inflammation from the pizza that I eat afterwards. So that would be just a little prescription. And I thought somebody just said, just to shout out, literally drinking my first glass of Boost right now. I'm shocked how good it tastes. Did not expect that. Yeah, that's a very.
That's why my reaction was, what the beep, to my founder of the company. Who says that? I was so shocked that she was like, oh, I was like, sorry, I'm shocked that this is what this tastes like. Another question, Matt, someone said, how does it give me energy and help me sleep? That seems a little off.
So before I hit that, somebody asked, I'm taking an insulin supplement. So how do I take boost along with that? I'm wondering if they mean inulin supplement, because insulin you have to inject with a needle for it to actually be insulin hormone. It might be an insulin mimetic, like Ozempic is a GLP-1 mimetic. So not sure if you're listening to me now, maybe you can clarify if you mean insulin, the hormone, or inulin, the fiber. In any case, what was the question?
Inulin, yes. How does something give you energy and sleep
Oh,
at
yeah.
the same time?
So we equate energy, at least with supplements, with like caffeine, which is artificial energy. So caffeine is actually an inhibitor of reuptake inhibitor for our natural energy sources. And that's how caffeine makes you feel alert. But most of the time, if you've never felt right by clearing inflammation and not putting in foods that make you feel sluggish, when your insulin or your blood sugar is going up and down, you're just not going to feel natural energy. You're going to have sugar highs or blood sugar highs, and then these crashes. And that's where most people are living that all the time. If you look at the average blood sugar response of most Americans on the standard American diet, it's like a roller coaster. Whereas 9 months of I wore a CGM, a continuous glucose monitor, eating protein forward, nutrition made simple, and doing these strategies we kind of talked about, my blood sugar is like a flat line. I mean, a little bit up and down, in the range of 90 to 105. A spike would be 120. A bowl of Special K on skim milk, 185. Oatmeal, 145. These foods marketed as health foods, if you look at it through the context of blood sugar, are
we should
not
do a blood sugar deep dive.
don't
That's
pass
a
my
whole
health
list
test.
of deep dives. Blood sugar deep dive.
Yeah, so we need to talk about that. But and we should, maybe we'll just create this as a show, What the Health Show. I think that's good. We can
that would be good. Do you guys want that? I have a whole list of deep dives that I think, What the Health Show. I think that'd be great. What the Health? What the
Health? So yeah, somebody clarified inulin. So yeah, if you're supplementing with inulin, Boost has 2.5 grams. So it depends on how much you are taking. So you can probably cut that in half. I don't know how much you're actually supplementing with in addition, but I would say 5 to 7 grams is considered a pretty sizable dose to feed those prebiotic fiber, to the good gut bacteria. So hopefully that answers that question.
Yeah, and there's so many good things in here. Adding this in, so backing the inulin powder down if you needed to, and adding this in. I mean, I'll be posting all the different ingredients. There's a ton of things in here. So I know today we did focus on specific ingredients that are the I don't know, the buzzwords these days to help people, but there are so many ways that you can help your body, and a lot of those ways just take a lot of time, right? So if there was a way for you to be able to do an hour and 18 minutes of information we gave you, if there was something that took minutes, something that's going to help you with sleep, exercise, cancers, insulin, fiber. Oh my gosh, I have a whole page full of notes here. Like, what if there's a way that you could supplement and help your body, and it was $2 a day? You helped yourself. You got my program with it. And you're also helping feed hunger.
And you don't have to chop and throw away a bunch of stuff. Right. It's just, the time value of that.
Good. And it tastes good.
Time to boost your life.
Can I skip taking my vitamins? This was a question someone had. Do I still need to take vitamins?
Here's the deal with vitamins. Like most of my clients, I don't have them recommend. It's a free world. I can't dictate what they do, but I recommend, and people smarter than me also recommend that you don't take a multivitamin, because if you're eating a whole food based nutrition, there's only, honestly, first and foremost, is going to blow most people away. The only essential macronutrients, so macronutrient are protein, fat, and carbohydrates. Carbohydrates are the only non-essential macronutrient. So we can live on protein and fat we don't need carbohydrates. Because
that's a whole nother conversation. We should do that too.
Get all the micronutrients from animal-based foods. I know I work with a lot of vegetarians, and there's this whole thing about, I want to stick to plant-based. It's just marketing BS. I'm just going to call it what it is. Most Americans are dying because of a plant-based sad diet of processed foods, which are 99% plant-based. And so, just eating the right foods. It's very, very atypical to get nutrient deficiencies. There's only certain ones that are critical to supplement with. And that's a topic for another day or for a coaching session. But, you want to, like, the textbook answer would be get blood work done, make sure your D3 levels are good, your iodine levels, your B12 levels, and there's probably 6 other ones, selenium, copper, and then if they are deficient, like iodine for me, I supplemented with iodine for a season to get that in check. And B12 was low. I did B12 shots for a month, and that boosted my B12 up to 2,500. And that's going to last me 3 years. It takes 3 years if I had no B12 in my diet for those levels to fall to deficient levels. So most multivitamins, if you are taking one, I'm not saying it's a bad thing. Make sure it's a whole food based multivitamin, which essentially what Boost is, just not in a capsule. And it's in a
So does Boost help build up your immune system?
Yeah, we did. We talked about that with the moringa and boosting immune function. And, the immune system is a whole nother probably topic of an episode of What the Health Show. That could be our podcast.
What the Health Show, immune system. Okay, we have about a year's worth of What the Health Show tabs. So we're going to close this out because it's been an hour and 20 minutes. We have tons of great information. I'm going to break this apart in little pieces for you guys. About at hour 1 for a good 10 minutes, we had a lot of good, solid information on specific ingredients. So I'll break things up for you. If you are someone who loves listening and learning, listen to this entire thing. There's so much good information on here for you to take into your life. Here's the deal, guys. Don't lose the forest through the trees. Don't not exercise, right? Exercise, sleep. If you are in a high stress situation, high stress job, just take Boost. It's going to help you. Start supplementing in ways you can. Don't just quit everything because you don't have time.
Ooh.
What happened?
How do they get Boost?
Oh, how do they get Boost? How do you get Boost?
How can they reach you and tell them about all the things they get in addition to a discount?
Okay, how to get Boost. One of the great ways, just connect with me. We're on Facebook right now. Connect with me on Facebook. Put Boost in the chat. I'll be going back and connecting with people. And I am going to.
I was saying, DM me, like, find her. She's not hard to find.
I'm not hard to find. Yeah, I'm really not hard to find. So find me on Facebook, Hollie Lynch O'Brien. Put in one of our chats. Just put Boost in there, and I'll connect with you. And I want to gift you a $25 gift card. So yes, you can go online and pay full price. But if you want a gift card, I will gift you a gift card for $25. I will also gift you my Boost Reset program for free so you can try Boost. And that is a 30-day Boost Reset, which is going to help you with a lot of the science that Mr. O'Brien has done over the past 20 years being a specialist in the health industry, and a little bit of Hollie flair in there. I'm gifting that to you. You also get to be a part of the 300 people that I'm helping and donating $1,000 worth of groceries, whole foods, to the local food pantry, Reach St. Pete. So don't just go online and buy it. Let me help gift you and just get a hold of me, and I will do that for you. So, yes. Oh, and he's adding something else. I was going to, don't listen. No.
And if you're one of my followers and you know how to get in touch with me via text or DM or messenger, please get in touch with me, because I have a 30 customer challenge I promised Hollie I would help her with. And if I get 30 customers, I think I'm up to 9 or 10 already. Hollie's going to go in my cold plunge at Triumph. I'm going to set it to 40 degrees, and I'm going to hold her down for 40 seconds. And she's going to squeal like a pig because she hates the cold. But it's for a good cause. And
Who wants to see me
you'll get
freeze?
all
We're
those
gonna do it
other
live.
feeds. Yeah, so if you know me or you know how to connect with me via whatever, or if you have my number, text me. That would be the best. I'll hook you up with all the stuff that she just talked about. Plus, I get credit for my 30. And once we hit 30, she's going to go live on Facebook. Well, she doesn't have a choice. Live on Facebook, we're going to put in our cold plunge at 40 degrees. And I won't let her get out for 40 seconds. So that'll be fun. That'll be worth it. And it's for a good cause, more importantly. So pretty cool.
It is for a good cause. So if you guys have any more questions, just put them in the chat. We'll definitely be doing What the Health Show. I think that's a great idea. Deep dive into all these different topics. I hope you enjoyed today. Thank you, Matt, for taking so much time out of your busy schedule to do this for us, because I can tell you all day long how amazing this is. But to be honest with you, when you're hearing from someone like Matt, you listen to him today, right? Do you see why I'm like, oh my gosh? So when I have a question about something, I just ask my husband. And the reason is he knows the answer. And if he doesn't, he's going to do the research and find out. So all in all, if we didn't answer a question, let us know. But here's the deal, guys. What's really holding you back? If my actual question is, if you're not convinced, what is it that's really holding you back? Can we please help you? What is that that's holding you back? And can we please help you? Because we are here to make a difference in the world. We are standing in Source for a transformed world. Source means we are the energy. We want to be the source of a transformed world. We want to help you. Let us help you. We're here. We're here for you. We see you. We hear you. Right? So let us help you. Matt's smiling at somebody. Who are you smiling at? Can I say hi?
Gabby's.
Hi, Gabby. Hi, Gabby.
Plan your life. Without my planner, I would be lost.
Oh no. Without Gabby, we'd be lost.
I left it out by the cold plunge.
Well, thank you. Thank you. So you're not here to do life alone. We want to help you. Let us help you. Again, if you're not sold, reach out. We want to help you there. And let's just do life together. Let's make an impact. Let's boost. Let's reset. Let's help feed the hungry. Let's get me in the cold plunge. Good gosh. And let's start with the health.
Awesome.
I like it. Okay. Hope you guys have a great Saturday. And let's go. Let's reset, man. Let's boost. Boost your life. Woo! Thank you, Matt.
Strong as young.
Strong as young.
God bless.
Mwah.